Tulane made a statement against South Alabama, and now they're looking to shock everyone by beating Ole Miss. That's going to be a tall task, especially with the offensive firepower that we saw last week from Ole Miss against Mercer. Yes, it was against Mercer, but the fact that they put up 73 points showed that they have plenty of talent that you need to worry about. And Tulane has a defense that I think is better than most people expect, but facing Ole Miss is a very different test than facing South Alabama. They took care of business. And now it's a matter of being able to hang around with an SEC opponent that can put up points in a hurry. And the first thing that we'll look at is the quarterbacks. You have to look at Michael Pratt versus Jackson Dart. And we'll dive into a little bit more detail later. But I think that you're looking at two quarterbacks that are still looking to prove something. Jackson Dart needs to prove that he is the guy. I think that some fans still have some questions about his abilities, and now he gets an opportunity to prove it against a very good Tulane team, a team that is super underrated, but better than people expect. Michael Pratt is a proven playmaker for Tulane. I don't think anybody has questions about what he can do. It's just that he's now facing a Power Five team, and he has to find a way to prove that he can play against the best of the best. Because now we're starting to talk about the NFL draft, and Michael Pratt's name is slowly creeping up when it comes to talking about the quarterbacks. I think the biggest thing we saw last week was Tulane's efficiency with gash plays, finding ways to just open up the playbook and hit Ole Miss with some really heavy hitting plays, some deep passes, some big plays, and whatnot will be the biggest thing. If Tulane's offense finds a way to open up the Ole Miss defense and get them reeling a little bit, then you keep them in this game. I think the biggest thing on the defensive side of the ball is being efficient at getting Ole Miss off the field because Lane Kiffin's offense is explosive. And guys like Jackson Dart, guys like Quinshon Judkins are no joke. You do not want to give them extra opportunities. You do not want to mess around with that. And getting the ball to your offense will be the biggest thing. So turnover battle will be the big one here for both teams. I think that if Tulane finds ways to get their offense the ball back, I think that they're going to be in a good position to potentially win this game. But if they are turning the ball over, Ole Miss is going to run away with this one really quick. Ole Miss is too talented to be able to make those kind of mistakes and expect to be in the game. So the biggest focus for them, for Tulane, stopping the run. Forcing Jackson Dart to beat you is probably the best option, a plan of attack for Tulane, because Quinshon Judkins is a beast. He's a monster, and I do not want Tulane to try and take him head on. They do not want to poke the bear. They do not want to try and allow him to gash them. They want to, if you're going to pick between Quinshon Judkins and Jackson Dart from what you saw last week, you want Jackson Dart to try and prove that he is legit, try and prove that he can be a playmaker. And I think Tulane's defense has the talent to be able to hang with this Ole Miss wide receiver group. It's not going to be easy. The wide receivers and the tight ends really for Ole Miss will give them plenty of trouble, and it'll be difficult for this team to hang on. Ole Miss is super talented offensively, but there are things that Tulane can do to hang around. And like I said, forcing Jackson Dart to beat you, it's not because they don't respect Jackson Dart or what he can do. It's just that if you had to pick your poison, Jackson Dart is probably the poison you'll pick. And if Jackson Dart turns out to be a much better player than we saw in 2022, then you're probably not winning this game anyways, because that's so much talent that you have to slow down. There's so many players that you have to worry about that you almost have to pick one thing and try to come up with a good enough scheme that's going to get you the football back, that's going to confuse Ole Miss and confuse Dart. So finding ways to get Michael Pratt the football will be the best. And last week we saw him play with a ton of confidence. We saw him make a number of exciting throws, and I think that he can do that again, even against an SEC opponent. And that'll be really exciting. I think Michael Pratt is still super underrated. His story is one of the best in college football. And if Tulane finds a way to shock everyone, it'll be one of the best storylines in week two. It's just going to be really hard to do that. I believe that Tulane has a super talented team. This is a team that is at the top of the group of five, and everyone is gunning for them. But what a way to send a message by beating an SEC opponent. It will not be easy, like I said, but it would do a lot of good things for this program and for what their perception is in college football to beat Ole Miss. And like I said, not going to be easy. I don't think I can emphasize that enough because when you have Quinshon Judkins, I don't care how you could put 11 guys in the box, Quinshon Judkins will still gain yards. They are going to find ways to get him the football, and they're going to find ways to open up this offense. And if Tulane's passing defense can't do his part, they're in trouble already. So maybe selling out and stop the run. I don't know if they necessarily have to with the amount of talent they have. The scheme they run to, the amount of trust that these players have in each other is another factor to keep in mind. And that will be an interesting aspect of this game and how to stop because honestly, at almost every position, Ole Miss is more talented. So we've seen this before, though. It's not like a doomsday. It's not a kiss of death for Tulane. They have the ability to play well. I mean, we saw what happened against USC last year in the bowl game. You knew that USC was the more talented team, but Tulane didn't care. They found ways to scheme guys open. They found ways to get the ball back to their offense, and they can do the same thing here. So, what does Ole Miss do to kind of negate that upset bid? What does Tulane do to keep the upset bid going? That'll be the biggest thing. This is a super underrated game. I think a lot of people maybe won't watch it because I mean, when you have Texas and Alabama, it's kind of hard to compete with that. But Tulane and Ole Miss is a very entertaining game. I think that both teams can be very good this year, and the result of this one could help shift their season into an extra gear, or if they lose the game, maybe kill some of that momentum that they might have. But Ole Miss, super talented, super explosive offensively. They brought in good talent on the defensive side of the ball, and how Michael Pratt and the Tulane offense handle that will probably be the biggest determining factor as to how close is this game going to be, and what do both teams need to do to either make this an upset bid or make this go in favor of the Rebels. I think I will probably lean Ole Miss right now. I think they just have too much talent, and maybe Tulane's run is over. But I think that the talent level, the big discrepancy there. I think that Tulane beating South Alabama was good, but beating a team like Ole Miss requires you to reach another level, and I just don't know if the Green Wave have that.